languages has recently cropped up in the last couple of years when somebody asked me abroad, what is my first language and which other language do I speak? So you see, the instant answer was just English by default, because that's what we speak, that's what we try to learn, and we don't even think of any other language within the split second if somebody asks us about the mother tongue. So I kept on thinking that, I belong to the province of Punjab. So like my father told me, Punjabi is my first language, my mother tongue. And then Urdu is our national language, I suppose. And therefore I should know Urdu as well. And, just let the person know that Punjabi and Urdu are the other languages I speak. But the instant other language I had in mind was just English. So it made me think and deliberate on the fact that, what about our own indigenous languages, which represent us and our cultural identity? And the more we are getting away from them, the more we are estranged to our own selves, because we are unable to identify who we are to any other person who asks us, okay, please introduce yourself. That means introduce your culture, where you belong, and where are your roots. So I was unable to give an instant answer. I had to think about it. So that showed that, how much interest and how much conscious we were about our own languages and our own linguistic diversity and the current situation of languages in Pakistan. Now, just a couple of months back, I did write an article on the issue of language and the English-Urdu language controversy as well. And, I discussed the fact that, with about 70 languages that are already registered as far as the Pakistani landscape is concerned, we are unaware of even the 4 main regional languages. We don't know about what is happening in the other province because we can't speak in their language. We don't have a corpus of literature in that language. And therefore, we feel short of communicating, and there's a sense of alienation that we do come across within the country as well, which is very, very dangerous. Now, what does it lead to? A basic vulnerability, a problem of self-esteem, having confidence and a sense of responsibility in what you're saying, what you're representing, what kind of knowledge you're disseminating. So I feel that, it's high time that, and even with this new government, which was promising a lot as far as our other endangered languages were concerned, nothing as such has been done so far. I mean, as far as my limited knowledge on the subject is concerned, I've been going over news about it, quality and equality of education. I really don't understand where it is now. And even with this uniform curriculum, we don't find our regional languages there, not even as a subject, not even as being special courses offered to us, other than English and Chinese for that matter right now. And particularly in terms of Chinese, I feel that already we were marginalized because of the status of English and the controversy surrounding around the status of Urdu. And now we have this other language which is called Chinese, and we are, propagating that language. We are encouraging people to learn that, considering the CPAC and the Belt and the Road Initiative, which is already there for quite some time. Now, that initiative is further marginalizing and endangering our indigenous languages because we are moving further away. Now, there is another necessity to learn Chinese if you want to have a lucrative job or if we want to sustain ourselves. And considering the COVID situation, you see China has a win-win situation. As far as the Chinese language is concerned, it is the language of economy now. It is the language which is making and changing the global presence. And, according to the British Council survey and the United Nations study on it, Chinese is still number 4. And they say these languages which are put in a hierarchy in which Chinese is at number 4, these are the languages of lucrative businesses and jobs around the world. So, I mean, we are further moving away, we are further stigmatizing our regional languages. And in doing that, we are giving them a more inferior position. And that is really worrisome. And what I like to question myself as well, and the present government too, that why is it so hard to have a multilingual approach within the education system we are part of? I mean, we look at models abroad. There are, we see the West where there's a hybrid culture. People speak Mexican, Spanish, French, and yet they live in the same society. Okay, follow, they do speak in English, but they do have their own languages. They do have literature in their own languages. Why can't we introduce our own indigenous corpus within our education system, as a subject, so that we can at least keep these languages alive and kicking? There's an oral tradition, a rich oral tradition in these languages, which we are totally unaware of. It's only when you meet such a person who belongs to a certain area from the northern region or from Balochistan or from KPT, you come to know, okay, fine, this is, these are the languages, the dialects, somebody introduces you to that. But this is not very well embedded within our culture and within our educational system. And I think largely, it begins with, having written literature in that and introducing them at school level, as well as at, the higher level, the higher education system as well. So I just feel that, a lot of glorification for English and Chinese now would further, marginalize our languages and would further put them into a categorization which is slowly fading away, which is hardly to be seen. It's not just cataloging the languages, which we see, we Google it, we find so many dialects coming in Pakistan. But what else? There's nothing, there's no association with the language itself. So I feel that, the sense of enforcement which comes from the economy and, the internationalization and communication is something which is entrusted upon us since the colonial times, since the partition. We've never come out of it. So I think it's high time, if we are having these forums, we need to put our voice forth to the government too, that, this whole concept of the Naya Pakistan should definitely bring something Naya for the indigenous languages too. Whether it's, you can begin with a pilot program. You can start off with, let's say, a very small group of students at an early age and introduce them to languages. I mean, multilingualism, it is established that it helps you in cognitive development. So you can't say that, okay, so your children are introduced to English and Urdu already, there's a burden on them. So introducing Pashto, for instance, or Saraiki would further confuse them and would spoil their, linguistic capabilities. Because according to the linguists, a 5-year-old child can learn 5 languages with a native-like accent. So why don't we, take these things very, very seriously at this point in time? Because the more we are, getting into this language of prestige, and with Chinese becoming now the language of prestigious technology, our languages do not fall anywhere. So either we use the technological forum and develop something through that to connect with the world outside in our indigenous languages, or either we make a corpus and sort of digitize it and use it on the forum of the digital humanities and share it with the world, so that we can connect with people who wish to learn that language and probably do even transliteration of our own oral tradition in that. So I feel if we can put forth such suggestions to the government too, and get along some people who are already making a lot of effort in saving the languages and in studying these regional languages, and bringing them to the fore in some way or the other, the government really needs to realize that effort now. So that's about it. That's my larger impression about joining the society as well, and how do I feel about languages. And I feel that, from the forum of Englishers too, this comes from a lot many who are sharing similar views after having enough of the exposure of how the world is dealing with their languages and how they are saving their extinct languages, where we are just standing and watching the disaster which is bound to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for your talk. It was indeed very informative. Now I want to introduce our keynote speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Fakhruddin Akhundzada. Mr. Fakhruddin Akhundzada is the executive director of the Forum for Languages Language Initiative, FLI, a training and a resource center based in Islamabad, Pakistan, and serving the nearly 30 language communities spread across the northern and mountainous part of the country. He was among those who established FLI in 2002, and he later became its director in 2012. He has carried out research about his and her later in his own Kohar speaking community, of people numbering several hundred thousand of people, and whose homeland is located in the far north and west of the country. One of his recent accomplishments was the completion of a capacity building project in which his team invested resources in four underdocumented and seriously under-resourced languages, Yadgha, Gawarbati, Dameli, and Oshojo, to equip people from the communities to produce various forms of literature in their respective languages. The one-year project represents only a small beginning, but a crucial one for languages not previously written or acknowledged. Fakhruddin Akhundzada's research interests lie mainly in the areas of cultural anthropology, sociality, and the language ethnology of the linguistically and culturally diverse Chitral Valley, as well as language policy issues that impact men, women, and children of Pakistan. He has authored and co-authored several books and research papers. He is an alumnus of the 2014 COLANG, a US-based institute that holds language documentation training for international participants. He has also been the advisory circle member of the institute for 4 years. Over to you, Mr. Fakhruddin Akhundzada. Your mic is off. Could you please unmute yourself? Sir Fakhruddin, please unmute yourself. There is a mic option.
Okay, Turab, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good noon, good afternoon, good evening. As you have been shared earlier, my presentation today is about language situation in Chitral Valley. I am giving a very general information about the valley. Turab, do you is the slide visible there?
Yes, your slides are visible. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Here is, I'm giving very general information about the language situation in this valley. I'm not going to deeper study of one or two languages. My purpose is to give some basic idea to student, scholar for research in this region. The information is based from my own experience as well as some literature study. I'm engaged, as Turab told, I'm engaged with the Forum for Language Initiative for last 20 years. We are training people from the language community in northern Pakistan. FLI has very active relationship with at least 20 languages in this region. So the information are coming from our own work with the language community. In this presentation, we will cover four things: language diversity of Chitral Valley, the factors contributing maintenance of the linguistic diversity, the factor causing endangerment for some languages, and question and answer. Chetral is situated to the extreme north of the country. You know, this is the ending part of our country. Pakistan is starting from Karachi and ending at Chetral. Chetral is bordering with GB to the east, Nuristan province, Afghanistan to the west, Wakhan to the north, Kunnad Wadi of Afghanistan to the south. We also bordering with deep towards east and south, and also bordering with Badakhshan province and northwest. Chetral is also very close to Tajikistan, the former USSR. There are a single digit distance from our border to Tajikistan border, as thin strip of Wakhan corridor separates Chetral from Tajikistan. So all these this surrounding area is all multilingual, language diverse areas. So there are impact of these area to Chetral. Okay. Chetral has 12 languages. Linguists have listed 12 languages in this valley. So it is the most diverse, linguistically more diverse valley of Pakistan, because the population of this valley is only 0.4 million. According to our last census, 2017 reports. Traditionally, Chetral was a separate state. You know, it was a separate state ruled by a Mehtar, our own rulers here, and became part of Pakistan in 1947. But the state remained still active till 1969 and 69. In 1969, it has been made part of KP province. Currently, it has divided into two districts, Upper Chetral and Lower Chetral. As I told, let's coming towards the language situation in the valley. As I told, there are 12 languages spoken by these 4 million people. Okay, except Khowar is the language of majority people. Around 85% people speak Khowar, but rest 15% people are the remaining population is divided into this is ranged between 1,000 to 13,000. So the second largest language is has population only 13,000, and 4,000, 5,000 are the population of these languages. In addition to these 12 languages, there are also some families, recently immigrant families of Sarkuli and Kyrgyz speaker. I'm going to give detail of each language in my later slides, so you will know about each of these languages. 3 languages belong to Iranian. Out of these 12 languages, 3 languages belong to Iranian family, 2 belong to Nuristani, and the rest are Indo-Aryan families. The 3 languages are Pashto, Wakhi, and Yadgha. These are Iranian family, and the rest are 2 are Kamviri and Kataviri are Nuristani family, and the rest languages are Indo-Aryan families. Khowar is used as a lingua franca in the most part of the valley. Most language community can speak Khowar. It is their second language. But in the extreme south, in Union Council Arandu, the population of Arandu Union Council is around 25,000, where the lingua franca is Pashto. All the language community in these Union Council can speak Pashto, and their second language or lingua franca of these Union Council is Pashto. This Union Council is lying just to Kunnad province of Afghanistan and Dir district. Among 3 languages, Kalasha, Yadgha, Gaurbati are facing definitely endangered These only for me only thing, but you know, according to linguistic definition, each language in Pakistan are in danger except Urdu and English, and because they are officially not recognized by each state. Even Punjabi is endangered with a population of 110 million people. But my definition here is a little bit different, because I see that there are the number of people of these languages are not decreasing. They are in a stable situation. They are increasing. Even the number is very less, 1,000, 3,000, 4,000, but the number is increasing. They are not decreasing, except three languages: Kalasha, Yadga, Gaurbati. These three languages are facing definitely endangerment, and the speaker of these languages are shifting to other languages, Khowar and Pashto. Here are the list of the languages. Most diversity is the extreme north and extreme south. In the middle, there are only Khowar language. As I told you, it is the major language and biggest language and lingua franca of the of Chetral Valley. So let's come to the list one by one. Sarkuli is a language in China, but some people have migrated Chetral Valley and settled there. The number of these people are around 5 families and 25, but there are linguistics have not listed these languages as a language of Chetral. But as I see, there are some factors that are contributing to maintain and to grow these languages. One of the factors is they have settled in an isolated area. The second factor is that they are connected with their Chinese bigger population. And the next language is Kyrgyz. Kyrgyz are a nomadic tribe spreading all over Central Asia, and they also have some population in Chetral. Around 50 people are there, 10 families there, and two times a bigger population came in Chetral as a refugees. One during the Russian occupation in Central Asia in the beginning of last century, and the second in the beginning of 80s because of Russian interference in Afghanistan. But later on, both these groups migrated further to Turkey. Now the people who migrated to Gilgit or to Chetral, the Kyrgyz people have a separate village in Turkey, and only a few families have left in Borogal Valley in Chetral. Wakhi is the next language. Wakhi is a language of Wakhan corridor. As I told, in the extreme north, Chetral is meeting Wakhan. Wakhan is used to be a separate state till to the end of 19th century, and at the end of 19th century it has been made part of Afghanistan. And so Wakhi is the mother tongue of Wakhan. And currently, Wakhi people is spreading over 4 states: Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and China. In Chetral, their number is only 1,000, and they live in Wakhan, in Borogal Valley, in separate valley. But their bigger population are in GB. There are more than 25,000 people living there. Khowar, as I told you, Khowar has been the language of Chetral. Even it was a language, official language of our ex-ruler. The written language was Persian, but oral language was Khowar. The proceeding of the past ruler was holding in Khowar language. The next language is Madagascar. Madagascar is a dialect of Persian. The people live in a place called Madagascar, so the language has been renamed as a Madagascar. But it is a Dari language, at least a dialect of Dari, and they have been invited by our ex-ruler at the end of 18th century. and for the purpose to hire their skill for making weapons. They were the typical ancestor who were 6 people were expert of making weapon. The ex-ruler invited them to Chetral and they settled here. Nowadays, their population have rise to 4,000 people, and they still is connected to their major groups through radio. They are listening Persian radio from Iran, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and they're watching the TVs in Persian and using Persian book for reading. So they are Persian people. Gujri, as most of you know, Gujri people are spreading in from India to Afghanistan. So we also have Gujri people, because Chitral also has a grazing land. These are goat herds people, and they keep goats. So Chitral has a lot of grazing land. So they came here during last 100 years, and they settled in Chitral. So one of the language is Gujri is there. Pashto. Pashto, as I told you, Pashto is there are not only Pashtun people, but it is also a lingua franca of one union council. Pashtun have came to Chitral for the purpose of trade and because of fighting among themselves, and some families came in Chitral and settled there. There are also isolated village of Pashtun where only single language Pashto is speaking. They are monolingual in some villages, and their number is around 13,000. The next language is Palula. Palula is a language of Shina group. Okay, they are immigrant to the area from Tangir Valley of Gilgit-Baltistan in the past. Now it is a very different language, and both of the community don't understand each other. I have staff member from both community, Palula and Shina, but they cannot speak each other same language. They are switching to Urdu. So Palula is a group of Shina language, and Chitral has 13,000 population of this language, and they live in a separate valleys called Biori Valley, Ashret Valley, and some villages are also along the main river, along the main valley. The next language is Dameli. Dameli is a language of 5,000 people. These people live in Dameli Valley. It is a separate valley, but there are also 2 villages of Pashtun in these valleys. So the second language of the Mali people are Pashto. Pashto. It is a written language. Recently, FLI has helped the language community in developing their writing system and some publication. The next language is Kamviri. Kamviri is a Nuristani language. And Chitral, let me discuss 2 languages together, Kamviri and the Kataviri. Kamviri and Kataviri are 2 major languages in Nuristan Valley. Many linguists have considered them a same language, and some linguists have separated them being a separate languages. So Chitral has around 5 villages of 5 Nuristani villages. And the speaker of the village belong to either Kamviri or Kataviri language. So they came in Chitral in the past, mostly because of the war, something like that. But now they are Pakistani citizens. Their arrival is before creation of Pakistan. So they speak their mother tongue in these 5 villages. Even the villages is lying at a distance, not in the same area, in same region, but they still speak the language. Gawarbati is a language of border area. It is the population of this language is spreading in the border villages. Most villages are across the border in Afghanistan. Two main villages, Arandu and Arandu Gol, are lying in our side in Pakistan. And these languages are in a written form, but in Afghanistan side it is facing definitely in the, endangerment, and many villages have shifted to Pashto. We also has helped these language community in developing the writing system and in publications and capacity building. Kataviri, as I told you, Kataviri is also a Nuristani language, and there are two villages. Among the five villages, two villages belong to Kataviri family, Kataviri language of Nuristan. Kalasha is a very famous tribe in Chetral, and most Pakistani know this, and their mother tongue is Kalasha. Kalasha used to be a major language of southern Chetral. Still, ethnically, the southern Chetral are Kalasha, but they left the languages because they were also having a religion. When they leave the religion, and they also leave their language. Many elder people even in the Muslim community can speak Kalasha, Kalasha, but they don't speak among themselves because they don't want it to reveal that they in past they were Kalasha. The last language is Yadgha. Yadgha is a language close to the Munji language of Badakhshan province. Badakhshan is a small valley called Munjan. In this valley, there are a language called Munji. Sometime back, people from that region migrated to Chetral and settled here, and they still speak these languages. And currently, their population is between 5,000 to 6,000, and the language is in both sides in dangerous situation. In both sides, people are leaving their mother tongue. In Chetral, they are giving it for Khowar. In Munjan, they are giving it for Farsi. Here are some factors that are contributing to to maintain this diversity of this valley. The first factor is isolated location. Many languages are lying in isolated location. You know, these, as I told you, that Madagascar is an isolated location. It is surrounded by mountain tree side. Only a southern part is opening into Khowar community. Even the Khowar community is lying quite away. There is no daily interaction between Madagascar people and Khowar community. So they are totally isolated. Similarly, the Wakhi people are living in Boroghar Valley, quite away from Khowar community, and there is no daily interaction. And same situation is Dameli. Dameli is a language community in Damel Valley. It is also to somehow separate valley. Only, as I told, only two villages are in the valley are Pashtun, and the Pashtun are recently immigrants. So they are indigenous to this valley, and they live there separately. And so the first cause of this diversity maintenance is isolation. The second reason is endogamy. You know, all over the world, exogamy is a big challenge for maintaining the languages. When a minority, a person from a minority language marries a person from the majority language, the language of children shifted to the majority. But in a case of some languages in Chetral, there are endogamy, and so it is not causing endangerment to the language. Like Dameli people don't marry from other language communities, and you will not find any village, even it is lying inside Chetral, you will not find a single village inside this valley where Khowar is spoken. Same situation is Madagascar. Madagascar people don't marry Khowar community. So they are also endogamy, and Wakhi are another group. They are also not marrying Khowar community. So endogamy is another factor contributing maintenance of the languages. Local business and job. There are somehow local business. You know, when people migrate for a job to other region, they're not totally private. Some family is still in their local location. Like my parents are not coming to Islamabad. They are coming here for 1 month, 2 months in the winter, and then they are in their native villages. Same situation is with all people, language community there. So they have somehow they have jobs uh, uh, like livestock, farming, agriculture, something like that. Yatga language community has a big production of potato. Similarly is with the Madagascar people. They have big production of potato. Same is the Mali people. They have something in the valley, very resourceful valley. So they have some jobs there, local business there. So they have not to migrate to other region, especially in a shape of whole family. Some family still remain behind in the village, and so the language remain in the village. The next reason is a local teacher. Recently, government has brought some good policy that contributed maintenance of the language is the union council based appointment. In most cases, there was an issue of teacher and student language. Your teacher was belonging to majority languages, and a student was belonging to minority languages, and there was a language gap between student and teacher, and that the teacher was using third language to communicate with the students. But the government has recently a policy that the primary teacher should be appointed with a union council based. So in union council based, a community gets teacher from their own language community, which contributes maintenance of the language. Awareness is the next factor, and nowadays there is a lot of awareness. And in the past, people was considering themselves a backward because their language is not a retail language, not a language of media, not a language of government. So nowadays there is awareness that they have their own identity, their own culture, so they should maintain these their language. So awareness is also contributing to maintain the language. Documentation of the languages has started. Khowar is a documented language since long. Recently, the alphabet became 100-year-old. The first alphabet of Khowar has been developed in 1921, and this year was 100 years celebration of the Khowar alphabet. So Khowar has will written. There are lots of books and many other things, but the rest of the languages also has some documentation. And like Palola language, Dr. Hendrik is from Sweden. He is a professor at Stockholm University. He has helped the Palola language in documenting their mother tongue. So the language has many other book writing system, and people are writing poetry books and some other things. A similar situation is with Dameli. Dameli has basic documentation, their writing system, a few literature. Gorbati has writing system and a few literature. Yadga Kalasha also has. So documentation has started, and it is contributing to maintain their languages. Being language of prestige, you know, this is one of the factor around the world. Some people for language community consider themselves their language a language of prestige, and some consider language of backward. So in Chetral Valley, some language community also has thinking that their mother tongue is a language of prestige. Like these Madagascar people, they know that their mother tongue is an official language of Iran, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan. So they are not ready to give up the language. similar situation is the Kathaveri and Kamveri language. You know, these Kamveri and Kathaveri villages are lying inside Khowar community, but still they are maintaining their mother tongue. But they have thinking that they are their status is higher than the surrounding people, so they don't want it to give up their language. They consider, you can say, superiority complex. They consider their mother tongue good, higher in status. Same is the Khowar. Khowar has been language of the ruler, and now Khowar people don't hesitate to use their languages anywhere. They use it everywhere. So this factor is contributing. The next factor is social media. Social media, nowadays a lot of use of social media. People are recording songs in their mother tongue and uploading in social media. People are reading speeches and writing in Facebook, in WhatsApp, and using other platform of social media. So social media is nowadays contributing maintenance of these languages. Verbal art is also somehow has contributed in the past to maintain these languages. There are tradition of telling folk tales, there are tradition of poetries, there are tradition of proverbs and something like that. That is a case with with most of the languages. So verbal art is another factor, is contributing to maintain these languages. The next factor is modern means of communication. In past, when people used to write in Urdu, yes, you are away from home and you have to write a letter in Urdu to your family, to your father, brothers. But nowadays, it is they have not to use a second language, and you just pick up phone and dial to your home and just write a message in your mother tongue, send to your nearby, and just record a message in your own voice in your mother tongue and send to your friend, relatives. So modern means of communication is also contributing, and in the past people was using second language and they have given up for the communication. These were the factors that were contributing to maintenance this diversity in the valley. Okay, as I told you, some languages are facing definitely endangerment, and many villages has no more speaker of these languages. The languages are Gawarbati, Kalasha, and Yadgha. For me, these three languages are highly endangered, and the people are shifting, and the number of these people are decreasing. The first cause of this intermarriage is, for the language community of Gauri, Kalasha, and Yadgha, Khowar is speaker girl is an ideal girl, so they wanted to marry from Khowar community. When they marry from Khowar community, the mother tongue of children is shifted to Khowar. That is one of the reasons with these three languages. And the second reason is a lack of orthography system. These languages tell to the recent past, they were not having a writing system. As I told you, we have recently helped this language community in developing the orthography for their mother tongue. These languages were having poets and other literary people, but they were not able to document their creative work because of not having orthography system. So it was one of the factors was causing endangerment. But now there are writing system, but still the number of the speakers are decreasing. Language and education policy of the government, it is a cause with all languages except Urdu. This is a problem with all languages of Pakistan and also in Chetral. Only Khowar is a part of school curriculum. In 2011, KP government included 5 languages in curriculum. Among Khowar was included. So Khowar is taught nowadays up to the class 5. So only these languages is part of. For the rest of the languages, there is no support. they made a legislation in 2012 in KP government made, they passed an act called Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Language Authority, but they did not physically establish the authority. So no any language except Khowar in Chitral has any support from government. So the government policy also is causing endangerment for these languages. Speaker attitude. So far, these were a great reason of language shift. You know, the people was hesitating to speak their own mother tongue when they are in majority people. When two people from a minority language were coming to the area of majority language in Khowar area, they were switching to Khowar and they were hiding their identity as being of a person from a minority language. So it was causing endangerment, and many people also wanted that their children should learn Khowar and not their mother tongue. So another reason is speakers' own attitudes. The speaker context and interaction is other reason. You know, there are very frequent interaction among Gawarbati, Kalasha, and Yadga people with the other language community. You know, Kalasha people are nowadays dying inside Khowar speaker, and there are daily interaction. Same is Yadga, same is Gawarbati. Gawarbati is surrounded by Pashtuns. So there are daily interaction. Market language is either Khowar or Pashto, and other language business official language is Khowar. So there are daily interaction with other language community, and it was causing endangerment to their own mother tongue. Kalasha religion. You know, Kalasha religion is causing endangerment for Kalasha language. You know, Kalasha is also a name of the religion of Kalasha people. When Kalasha people gave up their religion, they also gave up their mother tongue, because they don't want it to maintain any association where they don't want it to maintain any sign of their previous religion. Among one is the language. So they are also stopped at the same time speaking their language. The other factor is speakers' livelihood. As I told you, many people from this minority language community has to migrate to my majority language. You know, Chitral town is a town of Khowar speakers. So where there is offices of government offices, universities, and something like, when people get a government job or other private job, they have to shift to Chitral town or any other majority language speaker area, Peshawar or something in Islamabad. So they are for their livelihood, and they have to switch to other languages. It is also causing endangerment in Chitral Valley. War and migration. War and migration is also causing endangerment, especially for the Gawarbati and Kalasha and all these three languages. You know, as I told you, the Gawarbati area is lying along the Pak-Afghan border, where there is always war, Russian-Afghan war, and then Taliban war, and then this American war. Always there is war. So the Gawarbati speaker consider their land not a peaceful land. They are trying to migrate out from their area. Many has migrated, even from Pakistan. 15% population have migrated to other area. In Afghanistan, many people have migrated to Jalalabad city and Kabul cities. So that is the region. Kalasha is surrounded by Kamviri and Kataviri speaker, and these speaker has also come to in this area because of war in the past. So now when Kalasha and Kataviri interact, they speak second language. Same is the Yadga. Yadga also has a Nuristani community nearby to them, and they came in because of war, and they have to interact with the community, and the interaction language is Khowar. These were the factor causing endangerment, and it was end of my presentation. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much indeed for that. Really, it was very informative and very engaging presentation. If there is any question, participants are allowed to ask question. They can unmute themselves even. Sir Arshad, please unmute yourself. I think Dr. Arshad is asking question. Yes, Alamgir Mirza, could you please unmute yourself and ask question?
Yes, I am Dr. Arshad Mahmood, Head of English Department, Women University of Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. I am very much pleased to participate in this very valuable and informative session. Sir, my question to you, Mr. Fakhruddin Saab, is that you have talked about all the details, you have given the detail of all these languages. Okay, and that they are going to be endangered. So you have also talked about documentation. My question is that what is the benefit of documentation when the language never comes into practice by the people in by the people, they never come into communication, when they will never again, when it is documented, so what will be its benefit in the future when it will never be come into practice?
Yes, it is a good question. Yes, you are true. The documentation is one factor contributing. It is not overall a cause as a contributing factor. So there should be some other factor to maintain in language. You know, there are poets. You can say the literature now for oral literature. They are orally. When you document it, there will be a poetry book. There will be folk tale book, and when you make a dictionary, trilingual dictionary, you know, in mother tongue, in Urdu and English, and people will use these resources, and of course it will contribute in maintaining the languages. You know, if you have a writing system, you can use your mother tongue in social media. You know, we have helped a few language community in northern Pakistan in developing their writing system, and in developing keyboards, Android and PC keyboard for them. Nowadays, they are writing in their own mother tongue because of these resources. So some the factor is somehow has contribution.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And could I add a comment here regarding this question? Language documentation helped a language to be preserved, to preserve its structure. So if the structure of language is preserved, so it ensure the vitality of a language. This is also a factor that is, this is also the part that we should consider, that language documentation preserve the structure of the language.
Okay, nice. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I think they have unmute. They have still mute their mic and.
Okay, we have question from Alamgir Mirza, and the question is, sir, what is the current situation of the maintenance of Kalasha language? Is there any project in pipeline for creating orthography system of Kalasha? Because It is the people and culture of Kailash Valley, which has become an introduction of Chitral. Is there any project of yours for it?
There are some projects run in the past. One was USAID supported, and the next was UNESCO supported. But still, the language is in not a good situation. As I told you that because the community, there are only 4,000 people has left with their religion. You know, there are pressure from the Muslim community to convert them into Muslim. So when they gave up the religion, they also gave up the language. That is the situation of the community.
Anyone else want to ask question? Okay, we have another question. Okay, I'm well. There is a Nigerian, I couldn't pronounce the name properly, Oganiel, something like that. Can you collaborate with young linguists like me to document some Nigerian languages? Am I audible? Am I
Yes, you are
audible?
audible.
Please,
Yes,
could
yes,
someone?
you are.
Okay, okay, I think Sir Fakhruddin has lost his connection.
Ma'am, Amna has a question, sir.
Yes, yes, he has a question, but let's get let's Fakhruddin join us, and then let me text him and ask what happened. He's going to join us soon in a minute. Actually, his connection was interrupted, and he's going to join us. All the participants are requested to please fill the form. I have shared the link for e-certificates. he has joined us. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry, I lost connection.
No issue, sir. There is question from Dr. Amna. She wants to ask question. Yes, ma'am, please. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Ma'am, please unmute your mic.
Yes, I've done it now. Yes. So it was really informative for a person like me who doesn't know that much about our indigenous languages and the broader spectrum of its landscape. And specifically, you focused on Chitral Valley right now. So I just wanted to, use this occasion to ask you that, you're doing quite a bit as far as the documentation is concerned and as far as the identification of the communities are concerned. And you're highlighting them, you're bringing them to the limelight so that, people like us and the world outside knows about it. But then again, I have the same problem as somebody else earlier on asked as well, that are you making some effort in terms of engaging with the government in a dialogue in order to introduce these communities and their languages within a curriculum in some way or the other, or within any other form of representation as far as our national bodies are concerned, so that at least we can help these communities in being less isolated or finding any other refuge somewhere else or migrating, for instance? So can we help them in this regard as well? And can the government do something about it? I'm sorry, we can't hear you because your mic is mute now.
Sorry. The government in Pakistan, the government of Pakistan still has no well awareness about the language diversity of the country. They still not considering this as something important and is like a national heritage. They don't still have awareness that language can play an important role in bringing a good education. At least in the primary level, the education should be in the mother tongue of the children, and there are still lacks. But some political party like Awami National Party in KP, they are very active. When they are in the power, they are giving importance to the mother tongue. It happened during their government that 5 languages have been included in the curriculum, and they passed also an act to establish a language authority for all languages. So government has some awareness, but some party level, not all party level. We are working with these 5 language community. When the government included them in the curriculum, and we helped the curriculum reviewer, curriculum developer, giving them some reviewing techniques in the mother tongue. So they were facing challenges in, the books they developed for these languages were having the issue of consistency of the writing system, spelling system and some other issue. We train a group of people from all these 5 languages in reviewing techniques, and we also help the language communities in carrying out conferences, passing resolution demanding for support their mother tongue. So we are in advocacy in 3 levels, and community level, organization level, and government level, but still there are a lot we have to do. As a few days back I shared in this group regarding the inclusion of these languages in the census. In the census only 5 languages are counted. There is no reason. If you are counting, if you are in a family, we are living 10 people in a house, you are just counting 3 people and leaving the rest. There is no reason. So they should extend these to all languages. There are only 74 languages in Pakistan, and they not taking any resources or any additional effort. If you are writing Punjabi Pashto, you can also write Khowar and Saraiki, something like that, just written of the survivor. So we are struggling, and I think this is a good platform, and this group is a good platform for all languages of Pakistan. We can go together and do education for the languages.
Thank you.
Yes, we have question from Alamgir Mirza. He is asking that, sir, what is the current situation of the maintenance of Kalasha language? Is there any project in pipeline for creating orthography system of Kalasha? Because it's the people and culture of Kalash Valley which has become an introduction of Chitral. Is there any project of yours for it?
As I shared, now there are many projects run for the development of these languages. Recently, US had supported 1-year project, and they developed a few books. Even the language are in a community school, but the community is giving their mother tongue together with their religion, so that is causing the main issue. There are projects has been run in the past, but the project is not contributing. As long as you are creating awareness, Pakistan is not a good country for religious minority people, and same situation are facing the Kalasha people.
Thank you. Rahila has a question. Rahila ji, please. Rahila Naz. Rahila, have you a question? Okay. Yes. We have a participant from Nigeria. He's asking that can we be helped out languages, minority languages in Nigeria? That is, can young linguists be helped out in this regard? That is documenting a language.
I could not get the question. Please repeat. What is the question? Is it just comment or?
He's saying that can who can help us in language documentation of minority languages in Nigeria? Like, he's asking for help, that who can help us in this regard in language documentation of the minority languages in Nigeria.
Yes, there are many organizations are contributing. One approach is you can make a partnership with a university in US or in some developed countries. Recently we are working to document the Gawarbati language with the partnership of a Sweden university. A Sweden university has launched a 3-year project with the fund from Swedish Development Agency, and the language will be documented for next 3 years. And same is with, we have also a partnership with the University of Texas. Partnership, they are working on the Mankiali language are spoken in this northern Pakistan. So one approach is the partnership with the universities. The second approach is there are also some funding. USAID has provided funding in Pakistan, and similarly UNESCO has funding in many countries, but they are not has funding in Pakistan, but some other countries they have. For mother tongue education, you can also get funding from Save the Children, UNICEF, like that. So there are funding from many agencies. Need to do some research about.
Thank you. Another question is again from Alamgir Mirza. Shouldn't we wise for inclusion the matter of indigenous languages, a domain for Federal Ministry of Culture, instead of including it or tagging it with educational policies? What do you say about it?
Yes, these language diversity is a culture diversity of the country. It is a national heritage. We government all there are many agencies in Pakistan, government bodies, Academy of Letter, Language Authority. They are working just for a few languages. I don't understand the reason. why these language is important for them and why this language is not important for them. They all are Pakistani and indigenous languages, Pakistani citizen, Pakistani culture, and like them. So we need to raise voice in all sector to have recognition for these languages. So that is good question, good suggestion.
Anyone else has a question, or should we end the meeting? If there is question, please raise your hand. Okay, so there is no question. Let me thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Fakhruddin Khunzada, Dr. Amna Omar, Dr. Arshad Mahmood, and all participants from Pakistan and across the globe. We are really thankful to you for your interest. And also, I will announce that stay tuned for our coming webinar. Our two webinars are particularly dealing with language policy. And our coming webinar is on 9th May, and it will be followed by another webinar on 30th May, 28th May. So stay tuned for our webinars, and thank you very much again. And inshallah, you will be awarded e-certificates by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Turab.
Thank you.
And also some of the participants, they are asking for recording and slides. We will share you with you. Inshallah.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.